The man opened a bottle of Baijiu, but only poured a tiny bit into his glass, then filled the rest with water. This was all Finch would have to eat for the day. Even with such a watered-down drink, he only dared to take the smallest sip. But then Finch turned and opened the dog food, scooping a heaping spoonful into the dog's bowl. The dog was a little annoyed at first. Why was there less and less food these days? But when it looked up, it saw Finch just licking the bits stuck to the spoon. Then he put the can back in the fridge. Looking at all the good food inside, Finch could only swallow his hunger, because all of it was saved for the dog. All of this takes place in the year 2025. A rare solar flare destroyed Earth's entire ozone layer, letting deadly amounts of UV radiation pour through, killing almost all life on the planet. The survivors had no choice but to hide underground. Finch was one of them, but every so often, he had to venture out to scavenge for supplies. Looking at his map covered in red markers, Finch knew this city had nothing left, and the bad news just kept coming. Years of radiation exposure had given him a serious illness. Finch didn't have much time left, but in this apocalypse, he'd stopped fearing death long ago. What worried him most now was the dog. To make sure someone would take care of it after he was gone, Finch decided to build a robot to keep the dog alive in his place. Soon the basic frame was complete. Finch uploaded tons of information about dog care, but it still needed a pair of eyes, so he looked over at the robot dog, Dewey. Dewey got excited, thinking they were going out to scavenge together again. He didn't realize his owner was after his eyes. As the camera was removed, the little robot dog seemed to accept its purpose was fulfilled, quietly lowering its head. Next, Finch installed the eyes on the robot, and began uploading the data. But when he gave it a command, there was no response. He thought it was a failure, but the next second, the robot started nodding. Then Finch asked it to try speaking. As it slowly adjusted, the robot could now communicate normally. Besides the 3 laws of robotics, Finch added one more rule.
Through inaction allow a human to be harmed.
Hearing the robot's response, Finch was satisfied, but suddenly, the robot asked a strange question.
When will you be absent?
Finch didn't know how to answer. Just then, the lights went out. Finch rushed upstairs to check. The wind turbine had broken down. He quickly fixed the circuit.
Oh, shit.
But when he looked toward the horizon, he saw something terrifying. A massive storm was heading straight for them. No time to think. Finch hurried back to the basement, pulled out a can he'd been saving, and took a satisfying bite. He had to finish assembling the robot and get out of here, head to San Francisco for a chance at survival. The data transfer was only 70% complete, but that would have to do. After all, it contained the knowledge of all human civilization. The robot looked at itself, wiggled its fingers, eyes full of curiosity, but it had barely been born, and Finch was already pushing it to learn to walk.
2, 1, 2, good.
Right after practicing standing in place, it had to start walking forward. The robot watched its own feet, mimicking Finch's movements.
1, 2.
After all, it was still just a baby, so stumbling was inevitable. Before it could fully adjust, Finch was already packing up. The robot kept practicing nearby. Dewey saw its owner rushing around, and wanted to help, but without eyes, it just kept bumping into things. Seeing this, Finch took apart a spare camera, and attached it to Dewey. Now the whole family was ready to go. The newly walking robot kept falling down.
I am okay.
But Finch patiently taught it along the way. On the road, the robot asked where all the people had gone. Finch told it that this place used to be full of wildflowers and all kinds of creatures, but a disaster from the sun took it all away. Just then, the storm caught up with them. At this rate, they couldn't outrun it. Their only option was to anchor the RV in place. Finch showed the robot how to drive stakes into the ground, then connect them to the vehicle with cables. It learned fast, working alongside Finch seamlessly. By the 3rd stake, Finch was completely exhausted. The robot told him to get back inside. It would handle the rest. It drove in the final stake. By now, the storm was only meters away. Finch yelled for it to hurry back. At the last second, the robot secured the cable and ran back to the RV, smart enough to grab onto the support beams right away. The massive storm made the cables groan under pressure. As they snapped one by one, the RV was tossed around violently. When the 3rd cable broke, the vehicle was lifted off the ground. It was the 4th cable, the one the robot had secured, that held firm, keeping the RV from being swept away. They barely survived. Looking at the stake still holding strong, Finch felt more confident leaving the dog in its care.
Hey, good job.
The robot, happy with the praise, patted its own head. Though they made it through the storm, one tire was destroyed. Luckily, there was a spare, but no jack. The robot suddenly had an idea.
Finch. Initiative.
Finch quickly swapped the tire, then it hit him. He should give the robot a name. The robot was so excited it started stomping its feet.
How about Jack?
No, Jack is a tool's name.
They thought about it for a while but couldn't decide. Then the robot came up with one on its own.
Jeff.
But it wanted to check if Finch approved.
And shake hands. Welcome to the world, Jack.
And just like that, the robot officially had a name. But early the next morning, Finch was woken by barking. It was Jeff, imitating a dog. It was trying to communicate with the dog that way, but the dog didn't seem to like it. Finch explained to Jeff that it was because the dog didn't trust it yet. Jeff immediately asked, "What is trust?" Finch explained that in this apocalyptic world, if you can make someone feel safe, that's trust. And what makes a dog feel safe is simple: food to eat, and someone to play with. So Finch decided to teach it a lesson: how to find food. Rule 1, never skip a store that hasn't been looted. But the door was a problem. Then Finch remembered he had a robot. Jeff easily forced it open. Once inside, it was immediately drawn to a painting. Just as it was about to ask Finch about it, it caught sight of a mirror. For the first time, Jeff saw what it looked like. In that moment, it wondered what it really was. Before it could figure it out, Finch called it over to learn how to make popcorn. Watching the kernels pop one by one, Jeff was as happy as a child.
Again.
Like a newborn baby, it was curious about everything in this world. But soon, Jeff's growth started to worry Finch. One day, they stopped at a diner to rest. Finch took the dog and got out, telling Jeff to stay put. But it couldn't sit still. Through the window, it saw Finch wasn't nearby, and started copying what he did. It had been wanting to drive for a while now. Finch suddenly noticed the RV moving on its own. He realized something was wrong, and ran out immediately. He confronted Jeff. Did it sneak behind the wheel? But the robot had learned to lie. Just like a kid who's done something wrong, afraid of getting scolded, it tried to dodge the truth. Finch didn't push it further. He just asked Jeff to bring him the UV suit. But when Jeff got back in the RV, it didn't do what Finch asked. Instead, it threw the vehicle in reverse. Finch knew its self-awareness was getting stronger, so he hurt himself to show Jeff.
UV doesn't discriminate. Dog skin, human skin, they both fry.
I thought you wanted
have one
me.
job to do. Take care of this dog. It's the reason I made you. It's the only reason you exist.
The fourth directive.
I don't need companionship. I don't need a friend. I need you to do your job.
I'm sorry.
I know you were born yesterday, but it's time for you to grow up!
Finch used his own pain to show Jeff how brutal the outside was. Jeff finally understood how fragile humans are, and that its job was to protect the dog. But back in the RV, the dog was sulking by itself. When Finch called it, it turned away. But when it found out it could drive, it got excited all over again, instantly forgetting whatever was bothering it. Finch taught it all the basics of driving. Being its first time, it was all over the road, scaring the robot dog into a ball. But with Finch patiently guiding it, Jeff had it down in just 5 minutes. Watching it learn so seriously, Finch couldn't have been happier. He felt even more confident leaving the dog in its care. That night, when they stopped to rest, Jeff asked Finch, if the sun was so dangerous, why not travel at night? This was another lesson for Finch to teach: the danger of other survivors. UV rays and dust storms were predictable, but at night, everything became unpredictable. In this apocalypse, the greatest threat wasn't radiation, it was people. He told Jeff seriously, never trust anyone. Jeff might not fully understand yet, but soon, a brutal encounter would show it just how terrifying humans could be. As the journey wore on, Finch's condition got worse. One day, he was in so much pain he could only lie in bed. Jeff stayed by his side, trying to help, but nothing it did made a difference. What Finch needed was medicine. So Jeff drove into the city, brought Dewey along, and went out to scavenge. But Jeff had only been in this world for a day. It had no idea how dangerous it was out there. The hospital doors were wide open, which meant someone had likely been there before. When Finch woke up and saw Jeff was gone, and the RV parked outside a mall, he knew something was wrong. Ignoring the pain, he threw on his suit and ran out to find them. Jeff had found the medicine, but Dewey wasn't so lucky. It had found a box of crackers, but in this world, that was obviously a trap. Sure enough, when it went for them, it fell right into someone's snare. When Finch found it, Dewey was still crying out helplessly. This time, there was no fixing it. Heartbroken, Finch shut it down. He couldn't take Dewey's parts with him. Finding Jeff and getting out was all that mattered now. Luckily, the two found each other. When Jeff learned Dewey was gone, it finally realized how badly it had messed up. And sure enough, right after they left, another vehicle appeared behind them. The strain was too much for Finch. He passed out. When he woke, it was night, and that car was still tailing them. He killed the lights, hoping to shake them off, but they stayed right on them. Finch steered toward a corner, planning to hide in a tunnel. Jeff tried to warn him the RV was too tall and wouldn't fit, but fear had taken over. Finch shouted at Jeff to just go. Sure enough, the solar panels were ripped apart on the and that car was closing in. Jeff jumped out immediately, pushing the RV with all its strength. Just before being spotted, Jeff shoved it into the tunnel. They barely escaped again. Looking at the shattered solar panels, Finch hated himself for being so useless. Jeff stood there, frozen. In that moment, it might have finally understood what helplessness felt like. And there, Finch told it the story of how he found the dog. After the solar flare, people killed each other fighting over scraps. One day, while scavenging in a store, Finch saw a mother and daughter. They'd found a whole cart full of food. But in this world, that was a death sentence. Sure enough, a group of raiders spotted them. They took everything, then murdered them both. And Finch, too afraid to move, hid behind a shelf and watched it all happen. Only after the raiders left did he dare to come out, but he noticed something in the little girl's backpack. When he unzipped it, he found the dog. Out of guilt for what happened to them, Finch took it in. Now he was dying, soon to be free from the pain. But the one thing he couldn't let go of was the dog. That's why he built Jeff. In that moment, Jeff finally understood why it existed, but it didn't stop to think about the fact that Finch had given it life. On the way to the Golden Gate Bridge, a butterfly hit the windshield. Jeff stopped the RV immediately to tell Finch the good news. If something could survive out there, maybe the UV wasn't deadly anymore. Finch slowly reached his hand out, then instinctively pulled it back. He tried again. This time, no burning. He carefully stepped outside. No pain at all. Just the warmth of the sun. He hadn't felt that in so long. Maybe, without anyone noticing, nature had started to heal. He walked along the road, soaking it all in, even spotting flowers and butterflies. In that moment, he truly understood how precious life was. Finch couldn't hold back anymore. He put on the fine suit he'd been saving, and opened the can he'd never touched. It was the best meal he'd had in ages. Who would have thought a can of food and a suit could feel like such a luxury? There, he told Jeff his story. Ever since he was a kid, he'd dreamed of visiting the Golden Gate Bridge. Jeff stood up right away and said, "Let's go now. It's only 18 hours away."
I'm dying, Jeff.
But Jeff still didn't understand what death really meant. In the time he had left, Finch wanted to teach it how to bond with the dog. He threw the ball, and the dog brought it back. Then he handed the ball to Jeff, and told it to try. This kind of play builds connection. Jeff threw the ball. In that moment, Finch finally felt at ease. But then the dog ignored Jeff completely, and brought the ball back to Finch. He told Jeff not to worry, keep trying, and the dog would come around. But the dog kept going to Finch. Just then, Finch coughed up blood. Jeff helped him up, and started walking him back to the RV. But Finch suddenly stopped. He told Jeff to go play with the dog for a while. Don't worry about him. But Jeff felt something it hadn't before. It didn't want to leave him. Finch turned and shook its hand to say thank you, but Jeff pulled him into a hug instead, like a child with its father. In that moment, to Finch, Jeff was no longer just a tool. It really was like his own child, resting quietly in his arms. As he got back in the RV, Finch looked back at Jeff one more time, eyes full of love. Maybe what he felt was peace, knowing what he'd built wasn't a cold machine. It had warmth. This time, Jeff didn't follow him in. It chose to stay outside. Finch had given it eternal life, but with it came eternal loneliness. Jeff was tidying up outside. Inside, Finch lay in bed. With the last of his strength, he petted the dog. Then, with no regrets, he left this world. The dog seemed to sense it, letting out a mournful cry. Jeff knew Finch was gone. It sent him off with a fire, up to the sky. Even though it couldn't feel temperature, it put on the hat. In that moment, it truly understood what death meant. After losing Finch, Jeff had no idea what to do. Then it remembered it was time to feed the dog, but its fingers were too big to open the can. Just then, its body moved on its own, pulling in the dog food. Finch had thought of everything. He'd built that feature in. After feeding the dog, Jeff sat alone outside, not knowing where to go next. Then the dog came over with the ball. That meant it finally accepted Jeff. Jeff picked up the ball, hardly believing it, and threw it. When the dog brought it back again, Jeff knew for sure the dog finally liked it. And so, Jeff took the dog to the Golden Gate Bridge. It buried Finch beneath it. From then on, it was just the two of them, keeping each other company in this broken world.